Hello everyone and welcome. In this video I'm going to be talking about the news that broke yesterday on various websites regarding Michonne leaving The Walking Dead in Season 10. Now there will be spoilers for The Walking Dead TV show as well as the comics in this video, so please don't watch any further if that will be an issue. Anyway, without further ado, let's begin. Now my initial thought when I saw this news wasn't actually about the content of the news itself. Instead, I was more confused about the fact that AMC keeps allowing leaks to happen with The Walking Dead. I mean, last season we had the news that Maggie and Rick were leaving the show well before the season even started, and in fact AMC even pushed the fact that Rick was leaving in their marketing material. Tune in to see Rick's last episode on The Walking Dead. And I don't know whether this news about Michonne leaving is AMC's sort of bizarre marketing strategy that they have, because they keep thinking that spoiling stuff about the show somehow will get them more people to watch it. I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm part of the problem. Maybe YouTubers like me, or well, not like me, more sort of influential YouTubers and websites are part of the problem because we're doing what they want us to do. Maybe they want us to talk about it, and maybe they think that will get people on board, and that will get people who might have given up with the show to come back, or, you know, people will start making theories about it. But I don't know. I don't think it works. It's just bizarre to sort of sabotage your own show before the season even begins. And people might say to me, well, Josh, how do you know that you know this leak wasn't just a genuine mistake? But like I said, AMC have a track record for leaking stuff on The Walking Dead, and if this was a mistake, if this has somehow come out and they didn't want it to, then they seriously need to tighten up stuff and not let these leaks happen. I mean, look at Game of Thrones, for example. I don't know anything that's going to happen in Season 8, and I don't think many people, if anyone, does. They've got it sort of so locked up because they know that spoilers are a crucial part of the show and that people don't want stuff ruined for them. But AMC just don't care, and they actively, you know, encourage spoilers. I don't know why they think that his viewers want stuff spoiled before it happens. And if you have avoided these articles and you've only been spoiled because you've seen this video, then I do apologise. But I didn't really know how to go about putting this video up without spoiling it. I didn't want the title to be, you know, character X is leaving in Season 10, because that's a bit clickbaity. So that's why it's the title is what it is. So that's that. But anyway, let's get back to what I was saying. I mean, if you look last season at the news that Rick was leaving, when that broke, I would have rather, honestly, I'd have rather seen that happen and that come as a surprise than know about it 5 or 6 episodes before, because it just took a lot away from you. You knew it was coming, and instead of it being a shock, you were just left debating, is he going to die or is he not going to die? But instead, I would have rather just seen it all happen, and it can be a complete shock, instead of spending weeks thinking to myself, oh, how will he get out of this? Is he going to live? Is he going to be taken elsewhere? It just ruins it. I don't understand. And going back to what I said about Game of Thrones, a key part of Game of Thrones is the unexpected deaths and the shock that comes with it. And that's also a big part of The Walking Dead. You know, there's been a lot of characters who died that, for me, because this was before I started reading the comics, that genuinely shocked me. And there was a comment that I think might have been on my Game of Thrones Season 1 video, when someone said that, can you imagine if The Walking Dead came out and said during its 3rd season, Laurie's going to die this season, just letting you know, she's going to die giving birth to a kid, and Carl's going to put her down. Because that would have completely ruined that moment for me. I mean, granted, yeah, the spoilers are already in the comics, but there's already spoilers from the Game of Thrones source material anyway, so that's kind of irrelevant. But one of the reasons why that episode sticks out for me, one of the reasons why I stand by the fact that it's my #1 episode, is because, you know, you don't expect the wife of the main character, who you would consider to be pretty untouchable, to die in the 4th episode of a season. It's just a shock, and The Walking Dead has become quite predictable now. Characters usually die mid-season finales, premieres, that kind of stuff. But this was a genuinely unexpected moment, and if that was spoiled, it would have taken a lot away from it. So I don't understand why The Walking Dead feels the need to tell me a year before it's happened that one of its characters is leaving. There's no need to tell me that. I mean, maybe, like I say, maybe it isn't their fault. Maybe it's come out, maybe someone working for her has said it, but you've got to keep these things under wraps. You can't, why, you know, they obviously don't care. If it's not them who's leaking it, then they just don't give a shit. And they allow people to write about it and people to find this information, which I just don't understand quite personally, but there you go. But anyway, that's sort of my rant done about AMC. So now I want to talk about the news itself, the actual news that Michonne is going to be leaving in season 10. Now, personally, I'm not too upset by this. I know I've seen sort of comments from people saying that if Michonne leaves, I'm done, blah blah blah, which I guess is understandable if she's your favourite character and there's not really anyone else you care about or like too much on the show. But I mean, whilst I've liked Michonne, she's never been excuse me. Whilst I liked her, she's never sort of been a top tier, one of my favourite characters. So her leaving is not sort of the breaking point for me. It's not going to make me give up with The Walking Dead, or start having a protest and go mad about it, because yeah, she's just I've never really liked her as much as I have certain other characters. And part of the reason for that is that she's had a majorly reduced role in the last few seasons. If you look at her since the war with Negan started, she basically turned into Rick's housewife. She didn't really do a lot of note at all. That might sound a bit harsh, but I can't really remember much of what she'd done during the war. And it's only when, this season, now that Rick's sort of gone, and she's had, with the time skip, she's had more of a presence, that she sort of found her old self and has become the decent character that she was when she was first introduced. So yeah, I'm not too upset by it. She's a cool character. I like her, but I'm not gonna start giving up with the show and sending death threats to AMC about it, because she's not one of my favourites. So there you go. I think also some people are quite shocked by this, as in they didn't expect it to happen, especially when you see sort of Maggie's left as well and Rick's left. You would think The Walking Dead would try and hang on to it, sort of bigger characters like Morgan, Carol and Michonne. Although personally, I don't want to sound like a Mr. Know-It-All, but I did kind of predict this was going to happen. I don't know if I've actually said it in one of my videos, but I sort of saw this coming from a long time ago. I remember reading an article online must be about 2 years ago, and I think it was actually Gimple who was being interviewed. I'll try and link it into the comments if I can find it. But I remember he said that he planned on having Andrew's death happen in the TV show. He said somehow we'll integrate it and somehow we'll get it done. And I don't know whether, if I'm remembering correctly, if he directly said that, or if he directly referenced and said Michonne will get Andrew's death. But I remember that sort of being what was inferred from the interview. And that makes sense, because Michonne pretty much took on Andrew's comic book role with her being Rick's new partner after Laurie and after the short-lived Jesse. So I kind of always thought it was going to happen, to be honest. And with it happening in season 10, which will be with the Whisper of War, it should be the Whisper of War sort of started, it makes sense, because that's the same time as when it happens in the comics. Andrea dies, I think she's trying to lead the walkers away that the Whisperers have dumped on Alexandria, and she gets bitten and she dies then, and it makes sense because I imagine that next season they will probably be in that point by the show, so it makes sense. I mean, it makes sense, and to me it's something that wasn't entirely shocking. I mean, granted, that doesn't mean that I wanted them to come out and just basically tell me it was going to happen a year before it happened, but I'm not sort of as shocked as everyone else. Like I said, there is a sort of perception that The Walking Dead would have to hang on to Michonne because of the other big characters who've left, but I don't really know if I agree with that, to be honest. Because they've introduced, Magna's whole new group and stuff, and they're trying to introduce more and more characters. So I don't think that her staying is crucial to the survival of the show, if I'm honest, because they've got rid of Rick, they've got rid of so many big characters anyway, that it's like, you might as well just go for it now that you've got rid of so many people. I don't think them, trying to hang on to Michonne is really going to affect the survival. The show, if the show survives, it survives. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It's not going to be really affected now by who remains and goes, because so much has changed. So I don't know if that makes any sense, but hopefully you're trying to get the point I'm trying to make. To me, this is kind of what I expected to happen, and like I said, I hope I mentioned it before anyway. I hope I've got something to back it up as evidence of me saying that was going to happen, but yeah, it's not a huge shock to me. And it's quite fitting that Michonne gets Andrew's death, because it matches, in my opinion, matches with her character. Andrea in the comics, she gets bitten and she sort of just carries on with her job, because she's leading the walkers away and she's like, yeah, okay, I've got bitten on the neck, I'm going to die, but these walkers need to get out of here. I've got a job to do. And she just carries on, and that's cool. I like that. She's strong, and she just gets on with what needs to be done. And that's what Michonne's like in the TV show. You know, I can't imagine Michonne getting bitten and crying about it and rolling on the floor like Rick did when Laurie died. You know, I imagine her as someone who's like, right, okay, I'm going to die, but I need to protect this place for my daughter. So let's get on with it and let's do this shit. So that's cool. I think that's a decent send-off, and I hope that's what they're going to do. And if they do that, you know, hopefully they'll get Rick to come in. Maybe he'll have a little fly down on his helicopter and fly back. Okay, that might be a stupid idea, but who knows, because Andrea got a nice send-off. She had time to see everyone in the comics when she died. So hopefully Michonne does as well, but I do hope it's not as long as Carl's death, because that was painfully dragged out and got very boring, seeing a whole episode of him dying. I was just like, will you hurry up and die by the end of it? And I do hope that AMC actually kill her off rather than have her shipped off to somewhere, because we've already got Rick and Maggie alive living somewhere else, and I don't want it to get to the point where AMC just ships off half its cast. Oh, Michonne's living over with this group. Oh, Daryl's gone to live over this group. And, you know, I don't want them to do it with 20 characters just in case one day they might decide to come back to the show, because, no, that's just stupid. We can't, you know, we don't want any more cop-out deaths. You know, although I don't really dislike the fact that they kept Rick alive, I do think the entire episode was gearing up for him to die, and he just survived at the last minute so they could make films and maybe have him cameo one day, which, you know, can be seen as a bit of a sort of a weak choice on their behalf. And I don't want him to do it with Michonne, so hopefully she does die. And that does sound like a rather mean thing to say, but I don't mean it like that. I'm not saying I want her to die because I hate a character. I just, for the sake of the show, I think it would make more sense. So basically that's that. You know, to summarise, I don't know why AMC keep doing this. Why do they keep leaking stuff is beyond me. I don't think it increases the viewership. I don't think it's going to make anyone particularly excited. It's just dumb, and maybe I'm dumb and before talking about it. I don't know. And also, I hope, like I say, I hope Michonne dies. I think she will die. I'm not entirely shocked by it. You know, not to sound arrogant or anything, but it's something that I thought was going to happen. And it makes sense because she's starring in the MCU, she's probably got other jobs in the horizon, and she wants to go. So, yeah, this news is, to me, not totally unexpected. I would have probably called it going into next season. And, yeah, I'm not, like I say, I'm not too upset about it. And like Dwight, I'm a bit indifferent. I don't, you know, it's not really doesn't affect my enjoyment of the show entirely, because I don't really... You know, Michonne's not one of my favourite characters. Well, like I say, I like her. That's a bit unfair, but it's not. I'm not going to turn off the show because she's died. It's not like in Fear the Walking Dead where they killed off my favourite characters and I was left with no one I cared about, because, yeah, it's not the same in this situation. Apologies if this video was a bit all over the place. I didn't script it because I kind of liked how the last Thought video went when I was talking about Dwight going to Fear, so I thought let's roll with it and do another one. So hopefully it's not been too much of a mess. But anyway, let me know your thoughts below. Are you pissed off about this news? Have I pissed you off by telling you about it? In which case, sorry. Are you upset? Do you think it's going to be a good idea? Do you not care? Whatever your opinion is, let me know. And I shall see you very soon for a review of the new Walking Dead episode. Until then, goodbye. And thank you for watching. Forgot to say that. I should say that first. Bye.